Okay. Hi. My name is April. As you can see before you actually click the link, I know it shows in the discussion board. I'm here to discuss prompt number 3. So prompt number 3 pretty much asks of an explanation of chronic stress and its relation to interpersonal relationships as well as thought process. So to help me with my explanation, did a little research. I found 2 articles. One was more of an experiment, which I found pretty cool. So the first article is entitled Mental and Emotional Impact of Stress. This is by Harry Mills, Natalie Reese, and Mark Dumbeck. So in a nutshell, this article pretty much explained how individuals with chronic stress are liable to secrete certain hormones and byproducts of those hormones, which in turn can cause certain disorders, or are not helpful when you have certain disorders. Now, for example, it explained how someone going through chronic stress may experience personality changes. It also explained how someone who already suffers from bipolar disorder and is now going through chronic stress, how that can be toxic for them as a person. It also explains someone with chronic stress and anxiety, how cognitive functions may change. Just like chronic stress versus a lot of things. So that basically helped me understand a little bit more. So the experiment I was talking about is it's called Dynamic Role of Social Support in the Link Between Chronic Stress and Psychological Distress, Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Now, as I stated before, I thought it was pretty cool. It's pretty different. So the experiment was to put individuals in an overcrowded situation, which was housing, overcrowded housing, and 2 months in as well as 8 months in, their stress levels were recorded. However, the buffer was support. Okay, so as we all know, when we go through things, we may need our parents, our best friend, our spouse, whomever, people at church, whomever you decide to pretty much lean on. It helps in a way. No, it doesn't take away the stress or the situation we may be dealing with. However, venting when you're angry, being able to confide in that special someone, it absolutely helps if you've ever experienced this. Like, if you've ever been stressed and lean on someone who's actually dependable, it does help a bit. So, pretty much after 2 months in, people in the crowded household, some had little to no support, others had a lot of support. It was found those with little to no support were actually more stressed than those with support. 'Cause as I stated before, I'm sure they were venting, they were able to release in a positive way, pretty much, instead of doing something crazy. So what was more interesting to me was 8 months in, pretty much everyone was at the same high stress level. And those who in the beginning had more support had little to no support. So for me, I found interesting, the longer you're stressed, the more likely you are to shy away from a support system, which is something I actually never knew because I've never tried it. So, not that I've ever dealt with chronic stress, but I found that very interesting. And yeah, so for those who may or may not know, chronic stress is the response to an emotional trauma that one suffers. Obviously, it's not something that happens for a short period of time. Chronic means long period of time. So you're dealing with an emotional trauma for a long period of time and not the most healthy way. So most people who deal with chronic stress feel as though they have little to no control over it. Chronic stress also involves the endocrine system, and the endocrine system response is to release corticosteroids. Okay, some examples of hormones released by your endocrine system would be adrenaline, which most of us are familiar with. Adrenaline increases your heart rate, elevates your blood pressure, and boosts energy supplies. Okay, another hormone is cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone. It increases sugar in your bloodstream, enhances your brain's use of sugar, and increases the availability of substance that repair tissue. So we all get stressed, even children get stressed. However, long-term stress is both emotionally and physically unhealthy. Okay, so stress, some secondary causes of stress hormones can act as sedatives, making a person depressed. So you can feel calm or fatigued for long periods of times. And when this occurs in large amounts, you may have low energy, and which eventually causes depression. Okay, so some people who are stressed show mild signs of anxiety as well. Okay, some hormones can contribute to severe feelings of anxiety, like racing heartbeat, nausea, and feeling helpless. Okay, so thought patterns that lead to stress and depression can also leave people feeling vulnerable to intense anxiety feelings. Anxiety that persists for an extended period can cause people to have difficulty coping with everyday situations. Some people experience personality changes in response to the stress hormones. Like you may become overly aggressive. You may find it hard to communicate. Usually withdraw from people. And usually when you're stressed, as I stated in the experiment, you're less likely to seek help, seek a shoulder to lean on, seek support. So you may feel all alone when stressed, but you're also placing yourself in somewhat of a bubble. Okay, also another hormone, that is secreted when a person is overly stressed is vasopressin, which is associated with the fight or flight behaviors such as enhanced arousal, focused attention, and increased aggressive behavior. So in general, this also is an increase in the sympathetic nervous system functioning, and those dealing with this may find it hard to maintain relationships with friends, family, and even children. So in a nutshell, to wrap this up, when stressed, you can actually cause other mental disorders like depression. So it's very important to, although it may be difficult, seek that support instead of shutting yourself out and feeling alone, because you're not helpless and there are things that you can do. Isolating yourself ultimately causes more stress. Thank you.